Have you ever noticed how people suddenly start valuing you the moment you pull away? The same people who once ignored your presence, who acted like you didn't matter, suddenly start paying attention. It's almost like a switch flips, and they finally see your worth, but only when you stop giving them unlimited access to you. That's not a coincidence. That's human nature. People don't appreciate what's always there. They don't miss what's constantly available. And the sad truth, the more you give, the less they value it. The more you chase, the more they run. But the moment you step back, the moment you reclaim your energy and stop forcing connections, that's when everything shifts. Because here's the secret. When you make yourself scarce, you become valuable. When you stop pouring all your time, effort, and energy into people who take you for granted, they start feeling your absence. They start wondering. They start missing you. And when that happens, the dynamic changes. They see you differently. They respect you more. And most importantly, you regain control of your life. So if you've been feeling ignored, overlooked, or taken for granted, don't beg for attention. Don't over-explain. Don't chase. Instead, step back. Let them feel what life is like without you and watch how everything changes. The truth is, people don't appreciate what's always there. It's not that they don't care. It's that they get used to your presence. They assume you'll always be available, always answer their calls, always show up no matter how they treat you. And over time, that comfort turns into complacency. Think about it. When was the last time you truly appreciated something you never had to work for? When was the last time you were grateful for the air you breathe or the water you drink? They're essential, but because they're always there, you don't stop to think about them. I now imagine if one day the air around you started disappearing. Suddenly, every breath would matter. Suddenly, you'd feel the urgency, the loss. That's exactly how people work. The more accessible you are, the more you become background noise in their lives. They stop valuing you, not because you're not important, but because they assume you'll never leave. It's called familiarity breeds contempt. The more familiar something is, the less special it feels. And this applies to friendships, relationships, even family. The ones who are always available, always saying yes, always putting others first, those are the ones who get taken for granted the most. But the moment you step back, the moment you stop giving unlimited access to your time, your energy, your presence, that's when people wake up. That's when they realize what they've been overlooking. That's when they start missing you. And the best part, you don't have to force anything. You don't have to beg, plead, or demand respect. All you have to do is recognize your own worth and start moving accordingly. Because when you value yourself enough to walk away from those who don't, the right people will notice. And the wrong ones, they were never meant to stay anyway. People don't realize the value of something until it's gone. That's not just a cliche, it's human nature. The things we can't have, the things just out of reach, always seem more valuable than the things we take for granted every day. And this applies to everything: money, success, opportunities, and especially people. Think about it. The moment something becomes rare, its value skyrockets. A limited edition sneaker, a rare gemstone, an exclusive invite to an event, when access is restricted, people crave it even more. The same logic applies to you. If you're always available, always the first to text, always saying yes, then what makes you special? What makes you stand out? But the moment you pull back, something strange happens. People start wondering about you. They start noticing your absence. They start questioning why you're not around like you used to be. And just like that, you become valuable again. This isn't about playing games or being manipulative. It's about understanding the psychology of attraction, respect, and human behavior. When something is too easy to get, people don't cherish it. But when something requires effort, when it's not always within reach, that's when people truly appreciate it. Ever noticed how celebrities disappear for a while, and suddenly, when they make a comeback, everyone is obsessed with them again? That's because their absence made people miss them. Even in relationships, the strongest connections aren't built by constant presence, but by the right balance of closeness and space. Absence creates desire. It forces people to reflect. It gives them the opportunity to realize your importance on their own without you having to remind them. So if you feel like you're being taken for granted, If people treat you like an option, or if someone doesn't see your worth, step back. Reclaim your time. Let your absence speak louder than words. Because when you do, you'll see something incredible happen. The people who truly value you will move closer, and the ones who never did will fade away. Either way, you win. Now, you might be wondering, how exactly do you make people miss you? How do you shift the dynamic without looking like you're playing games or being petty? Simple. You take control of your presence, and the best way to do that, you master the power of absence. Let's break it down. Step 1, pull back without announcing it. The biggest mistake people make when they want to be missed is telling everyone about it. They post things like, "I'm done with fake people," or "I'm going to start focusing on myself." But here's the truth. Real power is silent. The moment you announce that you're pulling away, you lose the mystery. You give people a warning, and instead of missing you, they get used to the idea of you not being around. Instead, just disappear quietly. Stop texting first. Stop initiating plans. Stop always being available, and do it without a single explanation. Let them notice the change on their own. Step 2, focus on yourself. Glow up in silence. Most people waste time waiting for someone to miss them, constantly checking their phone, hoping for a text, stalking their social media. That's a trap. Instead of waiting, use that time to work on yourself. Hit the gym, start a new hobby, read, learn, grow. Become someone so magnetic, so elevated, that when they finally do notice your absence, they see an upgraded version of you. And that's when the real power shift happens, because now they're not just missing the old you. They're realizing they lost someone who evolved into something even greater. Step, be unpredictable. Stop being too available. People crave what they can't predict. If they know you'll always be there, always answer, always say yes, then there's no excitement, no curiosity. But the moment you become a little unpredictable, people start paying attention. Reply when you feel like it, not the moment they text. Say no sometimes, change your routine. Make them wonder what you're up to instead of letting them assume you're always waiting around. That little bit of uncertainty, it's what creates interest. Step, let them wonder about you. The most powerful position you can be in is the one where people don't know what you're thinking. The less you reveal, the more they wonder. The less they know, the more they talk about you. Let people question where you've been, what you've been doing, who you've been with. Let their curiosity build. Because the moment someone starts wondering about you, that's the moment you've already won. And here's the final truth. When you master the power of absence, when you step back and focus on yourself, the right people will come looking for you, and the wrong ones, they'll fade away. Either way, you're left with the people who truly value you. So stop chasing. Stop over-explaining. Stop trying to prove your worth to people who only see it when it's convenient for them. Instead, pull back, focus on yourself, and let them miss you. And when they do, everything will change. Something incredible happens when you step back. The same people who ignored you, who took you for granted, who treated your presence like it was nothing, suddenly they start noticing. They start paying attention. They start wondering why you're not around like you used to be. And that's when the shift begins. At first, they might brush it off, or they might assume you're just busy or in a mood. But as time passes and you continue to stay in your lane, focusing on yourself, something changes. That sense of comfort they had, knowing you were always there, it starts to fade. That security of always having you one call away, it starts to feel like a loss, and human nature kicks in. See, people don't just miss someone because they want to. They miss someone because that person filled a space in their life, and now that space is empty. When you step back, you create that space. You give them the time to feel your absence, to recognize what you brought into their life. And if you did it right, if you truly pulled away without resentment, without drama, without begging for attention, they will feel it hard. They start thinking about the good times. They start replaying old conversations. They start checking your social media, asking mutual friends about you, wondering if they made a mistake. And the best part, you didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to beg. You didn't have to explain yourself. You didn't have to chase. Because here's the truth. Nothing is more attractive than someone who values themselves. Nothing is more magnetic than someone who knows their worth and refuses to beg for the bare minimum. And the moment you start carrying yourself that way, the moment you stop seeking validation from others and start focusing on yourself, that's when people start chasing you. Respect grows in your absence. Your energy becomes rare. And when something is rare, people crave it even more. But here's where most people make a mistake. They get too excited when someone comes back. They take them back too easily. They drop everything. They go right back to being available 24/7. Don't do that, because if you do, the cycle repeats. They realize, oh, they didn't really change. I still have full access. And then they take you for granted all over again. So if someone starts missing you, let them work for your presence. Let them prove they deserve to be back in your life, because the ones who truly care won't just miss you. They'll show you. They'll respect you. They'll value you in a way they never did before. And the ones who don't, they were never meant to stay anyway. Either way, you win. At the end of the day, you don't have to beg for attention. You don't have to prove your worth to people who can't see it. You don't have to exhaust yourself trying to get others to appreciate you, because the truth is, when you remove yourself, when you stop making yourself so easily available, the people who truly care will feel it. They will notice, and they will either step up or they will step out. And that's the beauty of pulling back. It reveals everything. You see, we live in a world where people chase what's uncertain, what's mysterious, what they fear losing. That's why someone who once ignored you suddenly starts missing you when you stop showing up. That's why the same people who took you for granted start checking on you the moment you go quiet. Not because they suddenly realize your worth, but because they feel the shift. They feel the absence of your energy, your support, your presence. But here's the real question. Once they miss you, do they deserve you back? Because not everyone who misses you deserves another chance. Some people only miss the benefits of having you around. They miss your kindness, your attention, your time, but not necessarily you. And that's where your power comes in. You get to decide who gets another opportunity and who loses access for good. So, moving forward, don't waste your energy trying to convince people to see your value. Instead, carry yourself in a way that makes them feel your loss. Let them wonder. Let them sit with the silence. Let them feel what life is like without you constantly showing up for them. And then watch what happens. Watch how everything changes. Some will realize what they lost and come back with genuine effort. Others will stay gone, proving they were never truly meant for you. But either way, you win. Because when you master the power of absence, you no longer chase, you attract. You no longer beg, you choose. And you no longer seek validation, because you already know your worth. So step back. Let them miss you. And watch how everything shifts in your favor.